Hello, my name's Jane Forrest, and I work in the health service. I work mainly supporting autistic adults and their families.
And I'm Ciaran O'Brien, I'm Jane's son, and I'm on the autistic spectrum as well.
So we thought we'd get together today just to share some thoughts about the current situation with coronavirus. It's something. Oh, and by the way, we do live together, so we're safe to be in the same room, and both of us are fitting well at the moment. We thought we'd get together to share some thoughts. The current situation is really strange. We've been forced into living in quite different ways in the last couple of weeks, and it's something that we've been talking about as a family quite a bit and watching the news and trying to keep up to speed with things. And we thought we'd just share some of our thoughts and also have a think about some of the questions that I've certainly been asked by the people that I work with. So here goes. Ciaran, I just wondered, first of all, if you wanted to just summarise, I suppose, how you're finding things at the moment, what you're thinking, how you're feeling about the current situation in the country.
Yeah, I think at the beginning when this was sort of not quite as extreme as it is now, but it was sort of bubbling. It was sort of just starting to begin, and it was starting to have an effect in this country. Like one person had died. I was feeling quite anxious. I think I can remember I was in London for an audition, and I was ringing home because I really wanted to get through to mum and dad and get through to my brother because I wanted to speak to someone about that because I was quite anxious about what was happening. But I think even though that death toll has sort of rised now and society has changed in quite a significant way at the moment because people aren't going to work and we're all on lockdown. We can only go outside for specific reasons. I'm strangely feeling not as anxious as I was. I think it's there in the background, and some days are better than others. And when I hear about something in the news, I don't know, about someone dying who's quite young, someone dying from coronavirus who was quite young and who didn't have any underlying health concerns, that does sort of put me on edge again. But I'm feeling okay, and I think that is helped by the fact that I live with people, especially the fact that I live with my parents. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What we thought we'd do was I've got about 4 or 5 questions that I've spoken to people about over the last couple of weeks, and I thought I'd just read those out. I can say what I think, Ciaran can say what he thinks, and maybe that'll be helpful to any of you who are listening. So I guess one of the things that comes up all the time is this question about what am I going to do without the structure that I've been so used to having in my life. So I meet a lot of people who've got maybe jobs or social activities or groups or things that they go to on a regular basis, and all of a sudden all that structure has fallen away and people are feeling really lost and not knowing what to do with the time or how to structure the time.
Yeah.
And make themselves feel better. So that's one of the main questions I get asked. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that'll. So I guess for me, nothing's changed for me structure-wise because I didn't really have a lot of structure beforehand. But I can certainly empathise with people who structure and a routine has really benefited them. So I would say that it just takes getting used to, and that if routine helps you, try and develop some routine when you're living at home for yourself. Whether it's go for a walk at 10 in the morning, cook lunch at this time, read a book at this time, watch this film at this time, watch the news. Then, do you know what I mean? If you feel that routine is something that you get on with, then I would say that it's important to re-implement that, even even with everything going on. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I would probably agree, and it's something that is affecting all of us at the moment, isn't it? I mean, I know that I've been working from home, and that's a whole new structure and a whole new way of being. So I would agree, trying to get up at a reasonable time for you, having plans for things that you do during the day. One of the things I've been saying to lots of people is make sure you get out for some sort of fresh air. If you're somebody who's used to going out and about, don't just stay in. It's not going to help you to stay in. You need to move your body. You need to get fresh air.
Of course.
So build in some exercise into each day if you can. You don't have to run a marathon. Just go for a walk, and try and have little things to look forward to. Maybe plan times in the day when you connect with other people, or plan times in the day, where you cook something nice for yourself. It'll be different things for different people, but building in a structure that's new, because all of our structure is new at the moment. So those are some of the things I've been saying to people.
Yeah, of course.
Another question I get asked quite a bit is where people are living with family just like you, and in normal times people sort of find ways of rubbing along quite nicely, but all of a sudden everybody's working from home, everybody's stuck in the house, and nobody can seem to get any space. And for many autistic people and their parents, it's like nightmare scenario. Everybody's getting on each other's nerves, anxiety sky high, and your senses are in overdrive. So any thoughts on that sort of situation, Ciaran?
I think you're likely to have arguments that all of a sudden just in each other's faces again after a very sort of normal routine of that not being so extreme. So there is likely to be conflict, I imagine. You are living with your family again. And whenever we've had arguments, I think there's always been a discussion afterwards. Saying, no, let's not fall out about something so silly when this is going on at the moment, which is quite serious. And people are dying and the country's falling apart because of it. So it's important that we at least stick together and have our own backs and look out for one another. So it's important. What I would say is just keep that in mind, keep that in perspective. But also, just going back to this idea of routine, I think you were saying earlier that if you get in each other's faces, it could be that during a certain time, this person is in this room and it's just that person. So whether that be the kitchen or whatever, at a different time someone else is, that's going to help. If the way your autism manifests itself is with you finding kind of sensory sort of stimulation very sort of overwhelming, which is how it affects me. I'd say that's a key thing in how my autism affects me. Then I think that would be a good idea, just sort of tying it in with the whole routine thing and one person being in a room at a time. If it's a room like the kitchen, which is an environment which is going to be very noisy, very loud. So that's what I would say. But also speak to one another. I think this is a great time to, like I say, like for everyone to reach out. If you're living with your family, communicate with each other about your needs so that you can all understand one another. I hope that answers the question.
I think you're right. I think talking to each other, and it could be that people in your family are really extra worried themselves. I'm sure they are.
Yeah, of course.
Some people have lost jobs and are feeling sort of hyper anxious themselves. So trying to keep communication open and trying to explain how you're feeling before you get really angry or annoyed. The opposite thing is something I'm also asked about, which is people who are living completely alone, and maybe in normal times had activities planned, or they were going out to work or seeing people, and all of a sudden they are on their own and feeling extremely isolated. So any thoughts on what those people could think about or do?
I think I would say that something that's possibly quite positive in a time like this is social media, because I think it's all so heavy what's going on at the moment. Everyone's really anxious and scared and uncertain. But what I'm seeing a lot of on Facebook and Twitter is a lot of humour, and that's how people are sort of dealing with it, dealing with this angst. So I think that social media could be a good way of sort of responding to everything that's going on. I appreciate also that social media can have its problems in a time like this. So WhatsApp, if you want to be more sort of specific about who you reach out to, I think WhatsApp groups are great. If you're living on your own, whether they be relatives or your friendship group, or just, I would definitely champion that. But yeah, just to sort of counteract what I said before, social media is possibly quite a healthy thing in your life at the moment, but maybe it could have its problems because there's just so much information on there. You have a lot of fake news. You have a lot of people who are quite upset about the whole thing and are ranting and getting angry at one another. And if you're someone who is prone to anxiety and social anxiety, then that's probably not the key environment. So approach social media with caution.
I would agree with you, and I'd also say approach the news with caution. The news is really good. It's good to watch the news, but maybe don't have it on. You could watch the news all day. That's probably not healthy.
No.
That's not good. Watch it maybe once or twice a day.
Yeah.
And try and distract yourself. Do something different. Watch a film, watch something that makes you smile, listen to your favourite music, those kind of things.
Exactly. Podcasts. Yeah. Podcasts are good. I enjoy good podcasts. Or read a book. That's something that could take your concentration off.
Or play with your pets. We've got a cat here who's wanting
to
come up and play, but she's not at the moment.
She's not around.
Enjoying pets is another good way of relieving stress. Just one more question for today, and then we'll sign off. So the last question really is just around being able to read other people at the moment. Somebody said to me the other day, I have trouble reading people at the best of times, but at the moment, everybody just looks so suspicious of everybody else, and I'm not sure whether to smile, and when people move out of the way, I feel a bit offended, and I'm finding it all quite difficult to read.
Yeah.
Is that something you've noticed?
Yeah. So when out in public, it's quite... Look, thankfully, maybe because we live in a small town, not a city, so maybe the atmosphere is a bit less tense. So thankfully, people have been quite nice, really, about it, and quite understanding, and there's not been too much... but there have been one or two situations where, like I was telling you at one point, when I was just coming back home from the shop, and I crossed paths with this woman, and I've seen her before, but she was wearing this scarf over her face and sunglasses, and she kind of got a bit freaked out when she saw me, and she just wanted to wait for me to cross. And I mean, I don't know this person, but I kind of took a guess that she might have had some... Well, she obviously had particular anxieties about coronavirus, and it could be that she had some underlying health conditions to why, but yeah, that was one situation where I felt there was a bit of a moment, and yeah, every now and then, but I'd say as long as you're being nice, as long as you're keeping things in perspective and being friendly to everyone, and not giving off suspicious kind of signalling to strangers, then that's all you can do. Because I think, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but
well, I mean, one of the things I say to people is don't assume that you know what other people are thinking.
oh yeah,
Don't
exactly.
assume people are thinking any bad things about you. I think people who are behaving differently or looking at others with suspicion, it's due to their own anxiety and nothing to do with you. So try not to take that kind of thing personally. It really isn't personal most of the time.
No.
Okay, well, I think we've reached the end of our discussion today. Hope you found some of that useful. We would like to come back and share some other thoughts with you at future dates. So we'll sign off. So from me and Ciaran, good night and stay safe.
Yeah, take care. Have a good week.